Hey everyone, today's story is an original that I wrote called The Princess and the Dragon. Dragon? Yes, it's about a dragon and a princess. A dragon just like me? Well, a little bit bigger, yeah. No offense, you're a little small for the average dragon. Is that true? Am I small? Okay. You know what? It's all right. You can be a small dragon and that's okay because maybe someday you'll get really big and then you'll be able to fly across the skies and torment villages of your own. That sounds great. Yes, it does. Shall we begin the story then? Absolutely. Okay. The Princess and the Dragon. Once upon a time, there was a young princess named Molly. Molly? That's a weird name for a princess. Okay, well, you know what? We will get to that. Her full name was actually Princess Maliana Regina Florencia Ignatia Junes, but how could anyone get by with a name like that? Molly was the youngest of 3 royal children. Her older brother, as the crown prince, had many responsibilities and very little time or patience for fun and games. Her older sister, as the eldest daughter and second in line for the throne, was kept busy with lessons on music, politics, and table manners. Sounds boring. Yeah, it's hard being a princess, especially when you have to learn how to be royal and dignified in everything that you do. Yeah, that doesn't sound any fun at all. I have to agree with you on that. Go sit down. Molly was only 3rd in line for the throne, so there was a lot less pressure on her, something she was deeply grateful for. It meant she had a lot more free time on her hands than either of her siblings. Time for games, play, and mischief. She sometimes hid a frog in her sister's jewelry box, bursting into giggles when she heard the older princess shriek in alarm. Occasionally, she'd loosen the screws in her brother's throne so it would collapse when he sat on it, dumping him onto the floor in an undignified pile. I know, she was mischievous. Molly would put goldfish in the water glasses, toothpaste in the cream puffs, and garden snakes in the beds. One time, she even replaced all her sister's makeup with clown face paints, complete with a big red rubber nose that honked when squeezed. Honk, honk, yes. Princess Molly found all of these pranks hilarious. Her siblings, not so much. When are you going to learn to behave like a lady? Her sister demanded one day. These pranks are getting way out of hand. Her brother agreed. It's time to grow up, Molly. You need to start acting more like a princess and less like a common goblin. Molly rolled her eyes. Being a princess is so boring, and you guys are never any fun. Maybe if you played with me every once in a while. I have a country to run, her brother snapped. I do not have time for your childishness. Yes, he was being a little rude there, wasn't he? I'll say. Nor do I, her sister agreed. We have responsibilities, Molly. Like it or not, the people look up to us. We shouldn't be doing anything that would embarrass our country. Molly's eyes began to tear up. So I'm an embarrassment, am I? Well, you're not exactly a proper princess, are you? Her brother frowned. Yeah. Molly flushed pink, feeling hurt and more than a little angry. She whirled around and ran from the room. Her siblings watched her go and felt a little guilty. They knew that their baby sister was often lonely and just wanted someone to play with, right? Her mischief was her way of trying to catch their attention. But when you're a royal, there's no time for shenanigans. Molly would have to learn that lesson sooner or later. Molly was hiding from her siblings, curled up in a corner of the royal treasury when she heard faint screaming in the distance. What on earth? Is it a dragon? Wait and see. Before she could react, something blew in the wall at the far end of the room with a fiery explosion. Sounds like a dragon to me. Through the gaping hole, a huge clawed hand reached in and began scooping up piles of gold. Yup. Molly crept closer, trying to get a better look at the creature, when suddenly she found herself caught up in the gigantic clawed hand, along with a large mound of treasure. Before she could even think to scream for help, she was swept out of the hole and found herself falling into an enormous brown sack, coins raining down around her. That's not good. She rolled as she landed, bruising her shoulder on the pile of treasure beneath her. She watched as a few more jewels dropped into the bag. And then the opening was tightly closed shut. Oh no! Yes, I know. Go sit down. The world lurched around her, and she felt her stomach drop. Everything was rocking, and a loud flapping sound came from outside the bag, like the world's largest bird was carrying her away. It's a dragon! Yes, I know. It must be a dragon, Molly realized. Yes, you were right. I think we're flying. Simultaneously thrilled and terrified at the thought, Molly tried to pull her thoughts together. It must have been after our treasure. Dragons are known for hoarding gold. It probably didn't even realize I was in there. She thought about calling out to the dragon, but was worried it might be startled and drop the bag. Instead, it seemed like her best bet was to sit tight and try to reason with the dragon when they finally landed. Molly was a smart girl and could be very charming when she wanted to be. She had no doubt she could win the dragon over and convince it to take her right back home. What's the fun in that? As soon as she felt the bag thud to the ground, Molly began yelling, "Excuse me? Dragon, can you hear me? I'm in the bag!" After a pause, the top of the bag opened and a huge purple eye peeked inside. "My goodness!" a voice exclaimed from above. "Where did you come from?" Molly curtsied politely. That's smart. "I believe you accidentally scooped me up with the treasure you were collecting back at the palace." "Why were you with the treasure?" the voice asked. "Is it because of your golden hair?" "Ah, gold, I get it." "No, well, it's a long story. Let's just say I was trying to avoid some people." The eye crinkled in what appeared to be a smile. "Well, I have good news for you then. There aren't any people around here." A large hand reached in and plucked Molly from the bag. As she emerged, she found herself face to face with an enormous, brilliantly blue dragon. Blue? Yeah, sorry, not green. Molly smiled tentatively and was alarmed when a mouthful of very pointy teeth smiled back. Yeah. You don't have teeth. Oh. The dragon placed her gently on the ground. "I'm so very sorry I stole you. I didn't mean to. I can take you back if you like." Or, Molly tilted her head to one side. "Or what?" The dragon shrugged, looking rather sheepish for such a fierce creature. "Well, you said you wanted to avoid some people. You're welcome to stay here for a while. It gets pretty lonely around here." "You don't have any friends or family?" Molly asked, feeling sorry for the dragon. "No, my parents were killed by dragon hunters when I was just barely out of my egg. I've been on my own pretty much my whole life." The dragon's head drooped, shoulders hunching sadly. "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." Yes, you were right. Molly cautiously reached up and gently patted the dragon on the leg. "I'm very sorry to hear that. My family drives me crazy sometimes, but at least I'm lucky enough to have people who care about me. Although," she frowned, "maybe they're happier without me." The dragon raised its head. "What do you mean?" Molly sighed. "My siblings said I'm an embarrassment to the family and that I need to grow up. But I'm still a kid. They're still kids. Why do we need to be in such a big rush to grow up? I just want them to play with me sometimes." "I'll play with you," the dragon volunteered, then blushed slightly violet. "I mean, if you want to stay a while." "You know," Molly grinned, "I think maybe I do." Over the next few weeks, Molly and the dragon, whose name she had learned was Kava, spent all of their time together. They went sledding down mountains of treasure. They soared through the skies, chasing ducks. They roasted marshmallows, sausages, and potatoes with Kava's fiery breath. And most of all, they talked, often into the late hours of the night. Neither one of them had had a real friend before, and they wanted to share everything. Isn't that nice? On the fourth week, however, their little paradise was broken by a yell outside. "Come out and face me, vicious beast! Return the fair maiden thou hast stolen away!" Kava went pale, turning a frosty light blue. "It's a dragon hunter! They've come for me!" "Don't worry, Kava," Molly soothed. "I won't let anything happen to you. I'll take care of this." Molly marched out the front of the cave, head held high, ready to use every bit of her royal training to get her way. "Who are you and what do you want?" A large man in black armor sat astride a horse, carrying a long, wicked-looking sword. When he saw Molly, he practically fell off his horse, nearly cutting himself on his blade. "Princess, you're alive! Your family will be so relieved. Come, hide behind me while I slay the beast and save the day." Molly glared at the knight. "How dare you? I'm not going anywhere with you. The dragon in that cave is under my protection. Do you understand? If you come even one step closer, I will have you thrown in jail. Yeah." The knight looked baffled. "But princess, I'm here to rescue you." "I do not need any rescuing, thank you very much. You can tell my family that I am perfectly fine here, and I'll come back home when I am good and ready. Have a nice day." Molly spun on her foot and marched back toward the cave. "But princess, I said good day, sir." Defeated, the knight clambered onto his horse and turned back the way he had came. A couple of weeks later, another knight appeared at the mouth of the cave, once again threatening the dragon with bodily harm and swearing to save the princess. And once again, Molly scolded the knight and sent him on his way. For the next couple of months, it was the same. Every week or two, a new knight would arrive, and every time Molly sent them home with their tails tucked between their legs. She was beginning to get irritated. "Why won't they listen to me and stay away? Why does everyone think I need to be rescued?" "Your family is probably worried about you," Kava suggested. Molly snorted. "If they're so worried, why don't they come themselves? If they're too busy, that's why. Their work has always been more important to them than I am." Kava looked concerned. "I'm sure that's not true." Molly shrugged and speared another marshmallow for Kava to toast. A week later, there was another shout from outside the cave, but this time the voice was familiar. "Molly, are you in there?" Shocked, Molly ran to the cave entrance. There, surrounded by a dozen armed knights, was her family. They'd all come, the king, the queen, and even her two older siblings. "Molly!" the queen cried, leaping from her horse and running to her daughter. She wrapped Molly up in a huge embrace, the rest of the family right on her heels. Molly suddenly found herself in the middle of a crushing group hug. "Oof!" she gasped. "You guys are squishing me." "Sorry," her father laughed. "We just missed you so much." Molly was surprised. "You have?" "Of course we have," her brother laughed. "It's just not the same when you're not there." "Yeah," her sister smiled. "Life has gotten really boring without you. I kind of miss the frogs in my jewelry box." Molly laughed. "I missed you guys too, but..." She looked back over her shoulder into the cave, where she could just make out one of Kava's large violet eyes peeking around the corner. "I can't go back with you. At least, not unless my friend can come with me." "You made a friend here," her mother exclaimed. "That's wonderful." Is it someone else the dragon kidnapped?" asked her father. "No," Molly protested. "The dragon didn't even kidnap me. It was an accident. I was in the treasury when she grabbed the gold and she scooped me up along with it. It was an honest mistake." "An honest mistake?" her father asked faintly. "So the dragon didn't mean to kidnap you, it just intended to steal our treasure." "She's a dragon, that's just what they do. She hoards treasure, but she's not a monster or anything." "Then why didn't she bring you home?" the queen demanded. "She offered to, I swear, but we got to talking about how lonely we were and we became friends. And," Molly added stubbornly, "if she can't come home with us, then I'm staying here." The king eyed the cave entrance warily. "Well, can we at least meet her first?" Slowly, Kava emerged from the cave. Okay, sit down. Looking shy. The knights grabbed their weapons, ready to protect the royal family, but the king ordered them to stand down. He crossed over to Kava and bowed deeply. "It is a pleasure to meet you, dragon. Thank you for taking care of my daughter over these past months." Kava dipped her massive head in response. "It was my pleasure, sir. She is my best friend, and I'm very sorry I kidnapped her in the first place. I really didn't mean to." "Understood. We would be delighted if you'd consider coming back to our kingdom with us. There's a nice spacious cave in the woods near the palace. You'd be welcome to move in there." Kava beamed. "That sounds wonderful, thank you." Molly grinned at Kava. Suddenly, she couldn't wait to go back home. The journey home took almost no time at all, as Kava generously offered to fly the royal family on her back. Within a matter of days, everyone was settled in and getting used to having a dragon for a neighbor. Kava returned the treasure she had taken from the royal family with her sincere apologies. As a thank you for taking such excellent care of Molly, the king gave Kava a generous reward of gold and jewels, which she joyfully added to her hoard. The king and queen also issued a royal proclamation banning all forms of dragon hunting in their country. Yeah! No one wanted to see any more baby dragons having to grow up without their parents. No way! Molly went to visit Kava every day, and they had lots of new adventures. Sometimes Molly's older siblings came along, taking a break from their royal duties. It's about time! Molly was happy to see them relax, finally, and have some fun. They didn't even seem to mind the pranks so much anymore. The Crown Prince even played a prank of his own, mixing dye into Molly's shampoo and turning her hair a vivid blue. Molly thought it was an excellent prank and felt strangely proud of her older brother. She, of course, retaliated by shaving off one of his eyebrows in his sleep. Yes, things were getting back to normal, but it was a new, wonderful kind of normal where both Kava and Molly felt safe, loved, and accepted. What did you think of that story? I thought it was great. Every story should have dragons in it. Well, I'm sure you were absolutely right. I hope you enjoyed it well. Look out next week for our next original story. Bye! Bye!